Moon was pretty damn decent. It had a fun cast of characters, some interesting design inspired by earlier sci-fi films, and a satisfying conclusion. Maybe it's a little too reminiscent of other entries in the genre, but I think it was pretty good nonetheless. Oh, we're now talking about the Kevin Spacey film from 2009? Oh, this video's about the zombies map Moon. Oh well, I played that level. It was okay.
Explosions than I anticipated.
Moon was the final Black Ops 1 map and was released as part of the Resurrection DLC in August 2011. Alongside the map came the re-release of the 4 classic maps, which were previously only available if you had the Hardened or Prestige editions of the game, which many people did not have. But I did. And I got Moon for free as a result. So, when it was all said and done, I guess I spent over $100 for an RCXD car. Moon is of course unique in Zombies because of its environment, as the low gravity has both you and the enemies bouncing all over the place, and the space helmet makes your sound all muffled and triggers your crippling anxiety as well.
Honestly, in the Moon, because we have no sound or muffled sound, I think the anxiety of the player, myself included, just goes through the roof.
The map also introduced some one-off features like the hacker device, which is used for a lot of things on the map, including hacking teammates to give them points, hacking item drops to turn them into max ammos, hacking wall weapons, the mystery box, and doors for cheaper prices, hacking excavator control panels, hacking random bullshit for the Easter egg. Heck, you could even use it to hack the Pack-a-Punch machine so you could trap yourself in a rusty cage on No Man's Land. No Man's Land is one of those modes which has taken a life of its own. It was likely just a quickly scrapped together afterthought, sort of copy pasted from the multiplayer map Hangar 18, and then it became something much more. Certainly, the choice to add a leaderboard for kills on the mode was a helpful touch, as it encouraged players to dedicate their time towards it, resulting in many interesting battles and storylines throughout the years. It was really something unique for Zombies because it tested your skill and efficiency at the game without requiring a lengthy commitment to a single match. Games would only take minutes to complete. It wasn't the typical dozen-plus-hour ordeal that had to be played on the other maps in order to get a top spot on the leaderboard. Granted, there were a lot of restarts necessary in order to get an optimized No Man's Land run going, so in some ways, it eventually became something like High Rounds in terms of the overall time commitment to achieving a record run. But it was good stuff, apart from the high blood pressure and messed up joysticks that resulted from playing the mode. Props to whoever decided to include this mode in the game, and major props to whoever chose to implement a Gobblegum machine in the remastered No Man's Land.
Stupid Treyarch.
It was also a lot of fun to play public matches and troll players on No Man's Land. Everybody would be getting ready to teleport, and then you step off the teleporter, they bleed out, then you decide to go to the moon and jump off the cliff while they're spectating you. It's too bad I can't find anybody in public lobbies these days, even though the game says there's several hundred people playing. Just so you know, these player-based numbers on Black Ops 1 are totally glitched out as of late. With the DLC maps in Black Ops 1, you could tell that the developers were trying to disrupt the traditional flow of games. After Ascension, players had become much more familiar with training the zombies and holding out certain areas. So they included George Romero in Call of the Dead to prevent camping. They had a lot of tight areas in Shangri-La along with special zombie types which made it more difficult for less experienced players. And then on Moon, they introduced the astronaut zombies and excavators to make your game an annoying hassle, I guess.
And that's actually something I'm very proud of.
When it comes to enemy design, challenging zombie types are always welcome, but there needs to be counters to it which are within reason. There are methods for eliminating George Romero, and there are easy ways to get rid of the Napalm or Shrieker zombies on Shang. But on Moon, the astronaut is not exactly challenging, but rather is annoying with his ridiculous health scaling, to the point where players have resorted to glitching him out and rationalizing it because he's a hindrance which doesn't offer anything useful to them. For the past few years, I guess it's common for high rounders to trap him in Tunnel 6, which is used in the game mechanics I suppose, and has a consequence associated with it. You're eliminating part of the map, but it's a bit suspect I think. Let's put it this way, if the Tunnel 6 trapping tactic did not exist, would players glitch out the astronaut anyways via a more blatant exploit, such as trapping him behind a window or in the biodome where he's doing a silly dance? I think the answer is yes, and it was yes before players discovered the Tunnel 6 tactic. And it's a shame because the astronaut is supposed to be a key component of the map, but he wasn't implemented very well. I think on the Moon remaster you could drop his ass quickly with an alternate ammo type, which if that's the case, then that's on the other side of the enemy design spectrum. For some reason, Jimmy Z also thought it was a good idea to constantly disrupt the pace into the game by forcing players to hack the excavator control panel in the first room and prevent key rooms from being decompressed.
And that's actually something I'm very proud of.
I can't blame Jimmy too much for all these design issues. I mean, the guy looks exhausted in these Moon promotional trailers. You could tell by his bedhead that he probably had just started prototyping Transit and had a lot of restless nights. To add insult to injury, these Inside Xbox interviews keep managing to terribly misspell his name. I guess the excavator issue is not the biggest deal. I guess you could just throw a Gersh device and hack it, or wait until the end of the round if it's early into the game. But sometimes it's just a bit irritating and feels like busy work. I'm just trying to chill in the biodome, and then I hear a second-rate HAL 9000 say,
"Warning. Excavator Epsilon will cause decompression of biodome."
Gotta get to the spawn room quickly. Let me just get this over with and hack this control panel.
Warning. Excavator Epsilon will cause decompression of biodome in 60 seconds.
60 seconds? What the hell? Time flies. Oh no. The low gravity is making me nauseous. My crippling anxiety is through the roof.
Warning. Excavator Epsilon will cause decompression of biodome in 30 seconds.
What? 30 seconds? It was just 60 seconds a second ago. What kind of horseshit is this? Okay, I'll kill this horde and then hack this panel. Shit! Where did this bastard come from? Oh no, my precious biodome is gonna be decompressed.
Unauthorized user.
Crap, these zombies keep spawning.
Excavator Epsilon. Control restored.
Oof, that's a relief. Time to go back to my safe space in the biodome.
Warning. Excavator Omicron will cause decompression of Tunnel 11.
Ah, shit. Here we go again. With the Resurrection DLC came a giant leap in the progression of the high round scene for zombies. More players had HD capture devices, and with all the DLC maps being released, players now felt inclined to revisit older maps and find ways to improve strategies. Modern Warfare 3 was on the horizon, and quite a few zombie fans decided to keep grinding Black Ops. Moon brought about what I would call Generation 3 high rounders. I talk a bit about both Generation 1 and 2 players in my previous 2 retrospectives. A playlist for those videos will be in the description. Anyways, these Generation 3 players had some defining characteristics, like having egos that were bigger than the moon. These players typically started using YouTube a lot more as an avenue of discussion, which also helped promote communication between Xbox and PS3 players who previously had very limited interactions. Even though these players were very good at the game, they decided to participate in blatant glitches or even the eventual modding of leaderboards. They would see one player bend the rules and they would say, why not me too? For example, on Moon, they would indulge in the round skip glitch. And to briefly summarize that exploit, if you killed the last zombie of a round while using the teleporter, during the following round, there would only be a total of 24 zombies. So you were essentially skipping an entire round, and you were able to do this every other round. A lot of top high rounders at the time used this exploit and actually tried justifying it and claimed that it was intended by developers because high round games were too long or something like that. And this type of primitive bullshit went unchallenged by many people. Anyways, I remember watching a trailer for Moon before the map released, and there was a shot of the biodome. I thought to myself, yep, that's the area everybody's going to be running in, and it certainly was just that. Eventually, the Tunnel 11 strategy was popularized by one of Relax and Ends videos called Mustang, Sally, and I. Later on, players started running high round strategies in the first room area. It's weird how the development of strategies occurred back in the day. Nowadays, a map comes out and players are salivating at the thought of coming up with a super fast strat and having their name attached to it. But back then, many players settled for the status quo. The biodome area was wide open, safe, maybe slow, but that was okay then. Nowadays, you look at a room in a map, and your zombie brain is thinking, how can I make this work for high rounds? And then you think your strat is superior, you'll use it 100 times, keep failing, and then you'll say, I like to play fast, but I never accomplished anything in my lifetime of playing video games. Oh wells, maybe one day. The Easter egg on Moon might be the only one that I'm pretty familiar with. I completed it again in preparation for this video, and I can't really say that it was that fun. I was constantly referring to my notes, and it felt like a busy fetch and escort quest. I guess the reward of 8 perks is kinda cool. You play Samantha Says, you hack some stuff, you follow a ball around, you kill some zombies by a tube, you collect some plates, you get some death machines, you play some more Samantha Says, and then you blow up the earth.
Seriously? All that work and all we did was blow up the Earth?
I guess blowing up the earth was a cool thing back then for zombies, and ties into the maps in Black Ops 2, and is responsible for all the silly lava on Transit.
And that's actually something I'm very proud of.
Having to get certain weapons from the box and waiting until reversal the excavator goes into Tunnel 6 is kinda silly too, as it serves only to extend the Easter egg into the later rounds and adds a layer of randomness to it for the sake of padding. Then there's the step where you need to keep mashing X on the computer and hear Dr. Maxis talk about random gobshite. When you complete the Easter egg and you teleport to No Man's Land, the skybox looks like a JPEG for a night sky wallpaper or something like that. I thought I was being trolled, like my game didn't render properly or something. But at least the Easter egg doesn't get too ridiculous like some of the subsequent maps in Zombies.
One of the rules on the story side is we can't touch core gameplay. We will never stop the zombie spawns, we will never do a cutscene.
Cheers. Per usual, I'll end the video with some fun facts, trivia, and features of the map that I think are worth mentioning. Moon is the first map to introduce the perk Mule Kick, the first and only map to introduce QEDs as a special grenade type, the final map to feature Gersh devices. As alluded to earlier, some aspects of Moon are taken from the multiplayer DLC map Hangar 18, which released a couple months earlier in June 2011. Moon was remastered as part of the Zombies Chronicles DLC in May 2017. Surprisingly, they never fixed the round skip glitch, which is kinda mind-boggling. I could talk some more about the remaster, but I won't. The No Man's Land area was also remade for the Black Ops 4 map Classified, which is where players would teleport if they want to pack a punch their weapons on that map. For a while, Moon was the last appearance of the Ultimus crew, aka the stereotyped versions of the iconic characters. These characters eventually came back for Classified in Black Ops 4 as well.
Travel makes me feel crazy. I fear I may bring dishonor to my undergarments. Oh.
There are a few music Easter eggs on the map, one of them being for a 8-bit version of Coming Home, which eventually made an appearance in Dead Ops Arcade 2. It's definitely one of my personal favorite teams from Call of Duty. Moon is the only Black Ops DLC map with Nova 6 creepy crawlers. This time around, they teleport for some reason. Well, I guess that's Moon for you. I'm working on a video about Black Ops 4 leaderboards, which will probably be released sometime later this month. Bye-bye!